This is Michael Rollins, owner of Gameday Men's Health Waldorf. We are your premier men's clinic in Southern Maryland. We focus on 4 areas: testosterone health, vitamin wellness and peptides, medical weight loss, and erectile dysfunction. We have our on-site labs. We can get your results in 20 minutes. For the fellas, get back in the game with Gameday Men's Health Waldorf.
Happy Valentine's Day. It's me, L'Oreal from the Morning Hustle. Now, all around the world today, people are celebrating love, of course. Now, I hope you aren't waiting 365 days to celebrate the one you love. It should be an everyday thing. Now, our special Heart to Heart, all about Black love special, presented by Gameday Men's Health. We'll hear from couples who have been doing this love thing for quite some time. How did they manage through the ups and the downs? How challenging it is to stick to those wedding vows. Well, tonight, we will get into all of that and then some. Plus, we have a relationship expert to help give advice on how to keep the love going strong. Now, to kick things off, let's toss it over to my sister in radio, my girl, Chey Parker.
Thank you so much, L'Oreal, and to our sponsors at Gameday Men's Health. I am Chey Parker, co-host of the Quick Silver Morning Show for 93.9 WKYS and, of course, 92Q Jams Be More. And welcome to Heart, all about Black love. And you know what? Happy Black History Month, but also Happy Love Month. And I feel like now more than ever, it is so important for us to not only celebrate love, but celebrate Black love. Every day we see different things on social media, different things on TV, in movies that really don't speak to the truth of how Black men and Black women show up in relationships. And to really get the tea, we have to talk to those who have been doing this thing and doing it for a long time. This panel is just going to give us some insight on the key factors that contribute to longevity when it comes to Black love, Black marriage, Black relationships, and what we really use, the tools that we use to make sure that we are, standing the test of time. Divorce is at a high, breakups are at a high, city girls are at a high, all the things. And we really need to tap in with those people who have experience being in long-term relationships and marriages. So we hope to inspire you. We hope to empower you, and all of those seeking lasting, fulfilling relationships and fostering a deeper connection by just celebrating the strength of Black partnerships. So we are going to hop right into it. I have 3 couples along with a relationship expert who are going to talk to us today. And these folks are married. So listen, they have said the I do's, okay? They have signed the legal papers, and they are the ones who are checking off married on their application boxes. So first and foremost, I want to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. Cheryl and Dwight, how are you?
Good. Great. Hello there.
We're doing well. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give you all a second to, sort of introduce yourselves and tell your love story. But I want to also introduce Mr. and Mrs. Rollins.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
Hey, yes, we are loving the NSYNC. Hey. And last but certainly not least, for the couples, my brother and my sister, the Silvas.
Hey.
Hi. I was watching and sing.
Oh, good morning.
What?
Now you all have plenty of time to practice. I'm just kidding. And our relationship expert, the one, the only LaDon Black.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here and jump into it.
Yes. Thank you all so much for joining us and for, just being willing to share your love story. We are going to bust some myths. We're going to talk about the real. We're going to spill some tea and also give some advice, because I feel like oftentimes as Black couples, we are doing things that we've never seen done before. A lot of us do come from, maybe 2-parent households, a mom and a dad who were married, but it may not have necessarily been a healthy marriage. Some of us come from single homes. And so I think we underestimate the fact that when we do get into relationships, we don't always have the tools or the past experience to really fully show up in the way that we want to, especially as a great wife, a great husband, especially of many, many years. So we are going to kick this thing off. Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, I want to start with you and give us a little bit about your love story.
Wow.
Now, who's going to tell the real story?
Right. I think we probably have 2 separate versions, but we are 28 years married and met in college. I literally stayed an extra semester to finish my undergraduate study, and my husband was military. I attended his uncle's church in Salisbury, knew his entire family. When he came home from the military that September, if I hadn't stayed an extra semester, I would have never met him. I thought he was cute, and long and short, I pursued him.
Mr. Jackson, did you think she was cute too?
Yeah, I thought she was cute.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mr. and Mrs. Rollins, how long have you all been married and how did you meet?
Well, I guess she's looking at me, so I guess I'm telling the story.
Yeah,
so
we got 2 versions too.
we got 2 different versions. Yeah, and it depends on who we talking to. So we've been married going on 5 years. We got married during the pandemic. We met, both of us have a background of, being teachers here in PG County. And we met one time out and about at a bar. She didn't remember. And then the school I was at the time, I ended up transferring, going to another school. And when I got to that school about 1.5 years later, I see this one right here doing the introductions.
The music teacher and the PE teacher.
The music teacher and the PE teacher. And when I saw her do an introduction, I hit my boy up. Hey, listen, what was that? What was her name that we saw that time?
What was that shorty's name?
When we was out and about, man. She at my school, man. She looked good. I want to holler at her. So we kind of met that way. And being that she was a music teacher and I was a PE teacher, our classrooms were like right next
Close
to each
together.
other. So
so we ended up building a friendship, among other things, praise God. And it just kind of went from there. Our love grew. We actually enjoy hanging out with each other. Like, we're really friends. At the foundation of it all, we literally just like each other and have a good time with each other. And that, blossoming into other things is great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you so much. We're going to talk a little bit about that friendship aspect too when it comes to a relationship. But the Silvas, now I already know they found love in the club. Okay, tell us how embarrassing. And how did you meet?
You go first.
No, we fell in love in the club. Quick was a DJ at a club that I will go to often, and my neighbor was his open up DJ. Long story short, it was a winter, kind of like the one we're having right now. It was snowing. My neighbor couldn't get his car out. He asked me if I could take him to work to the club. So I was like, all right. And then I was going to bring him back. So me and my girls, we went at the club, and I saw Quick, and I was like, oh, he's cute. Quick had really, really long, like locks at the time, which were super cute. Quick used to dress in like 3X oversized clothes. It was very 2000s love. Okay, think of any 2000s movie, and that was it.
And I'll continue. This is 20 plus years ago. We've been married now for 15 years.
Almost 60.
Almost 60. So June 1st of this year will be 16 years married together. Over 20. I don't know exactly.
No.
Long time. But when we met in the club, it wasn't social media like that. It was just Black Planet.
Mm-hmm.
And she slid in my DM, y'all. We met at the club. I saw her on stage, she was trying to be cute, shaking her little butt, dancing. I'm like, okay.
My butt is not little.
I mean, it's not little. Okay, shaking that big old butt. I don't know how graphic we can get on this program. She's shaking her butt. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get that. Then she slid my DM, and I quote, she said she don't remember saying this. And this is what the message said back in the day, long time ago. It said, "You don't know me, but you so fine, and make you mine." I was like, "Ooh,
bars." Okay. Was I that corny? I can't wait to make you mine. Number one, I don't say fine.
Yeah, you don't now, but
I've never said it in my. I
I
definitely wasn't saying it in the early 2000s. You so fine.
And so, as we see, every love story has two different versions.
They do.
And the rest is history.
There you go. There you go.
Yes, well, thank you again for all joining us. To the couples, last but certainly not least, LaDon Black, a radio legend and a relationship expert. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you help couples navigate relationships.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I've been in this relationship space for more than 20 years. I like to tell people I am not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm your best girlfriend when it comes to love advice. And I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give you honest advice. Love, sex, and relationships. I cover it all. I feel like I've been in every phase. I was married for 24 years. I'm currently divorced and back out dating. So I can cover it all. So let's just jump right on into it.
Yes, let's get into it. And I want to start at the very basic level of this because all of you have, been married for quite some time now. And the Rollins touched on something that I think is really important and that I've even found in my own dating situations, just having a base of friendship. And so to the Rollins, I want you all to talk a little bit about that. Ronnette, you said that, you all actually enjoy hanging out together and you're really good friends. How has that made this relationship different than any other relationship you've had previously?
So it means a lot. All of the ladies on this panel have, what we call multiple streams. So we do a lot of things at the same time. And so being very, very busy, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of time for dating, number one, and then when you're married or in a relationship, making sure that you spend that time. And so it was very important to me to have somebody that not only, understood, my grind basically, but also appreciated it and would be there for me to, if we can't go out, just talk to me on the phone while I'm on my way home from whatever, whether it be a gig, event, whatever. Let's talk and really, really talk. Hey, how is it really, really going? Because as entertainers and you being on stage, nobody really cares what you're really, really going through. They just want you to be happy and all that other kind of stuff and just make the crowd hype, that kind of thing, but not really caring about the person that we are. And so I appreciated that about my husband, him really digging into who I am as a person and vice versa. So
the check-ins.
Yeah.
The check-ins. We do a lot of check-ins with each other, time and time again. Like she said, as we're driving, just during the course of the day. And then we sit there, we joke around all the time. So, we enjoy each other's company and it just, it makes the marriage beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, you mentioned, Ronnette, that, all the ladies, on the panel have multiple streams, are doing different things. The husbands as well. This one is for the Silvas. How do you sort of navigate or maintain a sense of partnership and your shared goals when both of you can be so busy? And we know quick, by the time we get there, he already gone. So wherever we at, he's gone. How do you maintain just sort of that connection and that partnership?
I want you to do that.
It's not easy. Let me say that first and foremost. We try our best, do our best. But I think a lot of people think that, once you become married and you're chasing goals and chasing visions and chasing business, that it's easy to make it look like that, as I always say on social media. But I feel like we do our best to support each other all the time. But we do have our times when, unfortunately, we want to be there. I'm speaking for myself, especially. It's a lot of times, and I think I forgot who said it, in this business, a lot of times, you're forced to be busy even when you don't want to be busy. You want to be somewhere, but the business doesn't care. So sometimes you're forced to make those unfair decisions to your family, because you're trying to chase something or you're trying to chase a goal. So my honest answer is we're still figuring it out. 15, we get 15 married together, 20 plus. And, every day is still us figuring out how to make ourselves strong, how to make ourselves better.
Yeah, I think it's deciding to also do that. Like after every day, I decide, that our marriage matters, our relationship matters. So even though we're so busy and quick, especially, we still try to find those little bits of time where it's just me and him, or, just us with our family. But I would not trade this marriage for anything. I mean, I would like him to have a little bit more time off, but.
I hear that. I'm off.
Now to the Jacksons, how do you all have been married for more than, I think you said 28 years, so more than 25 years. So you've clearly been through a bunch of different life changes and life challenges together. And I'm sure, after that amount of time, you aren't the same people that you were when you met. So how do you ensure that, you're actively listening to your partner and supporting them through the different life changes that they may be going through?
Oh, wow. So I would say, like you said, it's always changing because of life. So the important thing, I guess, is your communication.
Yeah.
Letting each other know what's going on. And then my thing is, the most important thing for us is, what can I do to support you, or vice versa. If it's me going through something with the family or the kids or our parents or whatever it is, it's like, when her mom had taken ill and needed 24-hour care, I'm like, look, that's your mom. The kids are grown now. So I'm like, look, do what you got to do. Just let me know what I need to do to support you.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's give and take, to keep each other, going.
Yeah. I think real love too is making each other priority through the life changes and life situations. And I feel protected with him. Like, he's a military guy. So I feel protected, and I believe he's wise. So when it comes to life challenges, like bouncing things off of him and talking to him and including him, and vice versa. Like he said, when my mom was sick, when his father died, just knowing we have each other was the power behind our relationship and our love. And I think that instead of using those situations to pull us apart, we found a way to draw closer when it comes to those situations. We had a daughter who was born 1.5 pounds, and that was early in our marriage. And that was kind of like the litmus as to how we started navigating life situations.
Makes sense. LaDawn, from your relationship expertise, the Jacksons talked about prioritizing each other, as they're going through life transitions, and also, learning how to communicate. Just through your time with couples, what is one of the biggest issues that you've seen in Black love when it comes to communicating through those life transitions?
I think the biggest thing that I've seen really impact Black couples when it comes to communication is sort of understanding where we've come from when it comes to relationships. So you mentioned earlier, talking about sort of what your parents' relationships look like, even if you had a single parent, what the relationships and dating look like for your parents. How did that shape you? Also, your exposure to relationships growing up. We bring a lot of that to relationships, and we don't realize sometimes in our relationships, we're fighting wars with the past. It's not even necessarily about the person we're partnered with. It's about the lessons we've learned in love and some of those bad things that we've learned in love that are showing up in our current relationship. So all the things that the couples have mentioned, but also have an eye on, sort of what your relationship history has been growing up. That can be impactful.
And LaDawn, to piggyback off of that, when you're looking at sort of your history or, your experience, or I know for me, I'm 33, I'm in a new relationship, and a lot of things you don't learn until you're in a relationship. And then there are other things that you don't learn unless you're single and sort of going through that process. And when you realize that your past experiences or your childhood have sort of impacted how you operate in relationships, what is the best course of action? Like, once you have that realization, what do you do after that? Because no one talks about the like, okay, so what do I do after that?
You know what? We have to get in the mode of learning the lessons of love. Because I think a lot of times we can identify the things that people have done to us. Oh, that person cheated. That person lied. You know, my parents weren't together. I never saw a couple happy in love. You know, we can identify those things, but we don't learn the ways that we can apply and be different in our own lives. So yes, these negative things have happened, but what have we learned from those things and how can we apply it in a positive way? So if we've dealt with liars in the past, you know, I have good radar now. So I'm not going to let someone tell me something and it's not necessarily true anymore. I'm not in that hurt space. I'm in that space of empowerment and changing things. You know, I know my parents weren't together, so I didn't see healthy love. But wait a minute, I have some friends who have great relationships. I have some relatives who have great relationships. Let me tap into that and learn and move forward with those things. So yes, you have to let that baggage go. You have to identify the baggage, let it go, but also let it teach you a lesson that you can move forward with in love.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this question is for all of the couples, and I will start with the Silvas. What is one hard lesson that you've learned in love?
Oh, you know, I think being married or being together and like everybody's saying, growing and changing over the years, something that Quick and I have openly talked about before is falling out of love with each other. Yeah. While in a marriage. And that doesn't mean you don't love each other. It just means at that time, you really not liking this person. You really just like, you know, maybe we have run our course. And what we have both talked about and tried to do is when one person falls or maybe feeling like that, to rebuild the other person up, to remind them why we fell in love, why we're together, you know, for it not to happen at the same time. So when one of us is down, the other one is fighting a little harder, or vice versa.
And you talk about that a lot, shameless plug. She has a book out called, I don't know if it occurs, Do That Ish. But she talks about that in her book about, you know, that's one thing that's always kept us together is that when times have gotten hard in the past, we never fell out of love at the same time. So one of us were always fighting to keep the relationship alive, to keep the relationship moving forward. And, you know, one thing I always commend Ashely on, my wife, is that, you know, she's really taught me, and it's like a broken record, the definition of unconditional love and really being there for you. You know, it's really hard to be in the business we're in and find someone that genuinely just wants you and just wants to be with you and really loves you for who you are, not for what you can do for them or who you know your status. So when you find somebody like that, it's really important to hold on to them.
Yeah. And Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, being married, you know, 28 years, have you experienced that at all? Sort of that falling, you know, in and out of love with each other and not necessarily happening at the same time, or not quite liking the person, but still wanting to be in the marriage. What's been your experience with that?
So I don't think we fell out of love. I think we learned early on that love isn't enough. Like you have to also like your partner, right? And so I don't think it's been a time when I haven't liked him. But here's the thing with us, and I think the difference is that we dated 6 years before we actually got married, and our courtship was full of drama. It was full of in and outs. It was full of, you know, hardship and hard times with regards to us learning each other. We came into the marriage. My husband had 2 boys. So we came in as a blended family. We had to learn to navigate all of that as you know, before we said I do. So by the time we said I do, the marriage was good.
It was a lot easier because we kind of knew a lot about each other. But as far as a hard time, I think when we first got married, I think one of the things for me, I was so focused on, because, you know, going back to a lot of things is from your upbringing and your growing up.
Yeah.
So my parents were kind of the old school where my dad pretty much paid all the bills in the house. So I was in that kind of mode. So when we first got married, I was just working, not realizing. And she said, finally, you know, look, I appreciate all the working you're doing, but we need to spend more time together. And so you have to take that time to actually listen to your spouse and take that in and be like, you know what, you're right. We need our times together to keep this relationship, you know, thriving.
Yeah. Now, LaDawn, what have you seen with, couples who may be going through a hard time, and how do you sort of distinguish between this is a hard time versus maybe this relationship isn't right for us?
Right. I think it has a lot to do with whether or not that person is willing to meet you in the middle. Okay. Because I think all the couples have talked about that marriages have, highs and lows. Like in a marriage, you're going to have days where you guys are totally in love with each other, and other days where you're like, I'm not really feeling him or her right now. That's totally normal. There are days where you won't speak. Totally normal. Not a reason to end the relationship. I think the difference is when you find that a person, you're having an issue in your marriage and a person is not working with you to resolve the issue. They seem to be okay with the continuous hurt or disappointment that their actions actually, show up in the relationship. So when you find a person's not willing to work with you on it, that's usually when you're like, this is over. Because I think all of us are used to the highs and the lows, but nobody wants to hear that someone's not going to meet them to try to fix it. And I think when you realize that that's happening, that's when that particular issue may end the marriage.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Rollins, what's been one hard lesson that you've learned in love? And it doesn't necessarily have to be within the marriage. It could have been in past experiences that helped you, sustain this marriage. But what has that been for you?
You want me to take this one?
Go ahead.
So I'll testify on this one. For me, it's definitely been grace, and that's receiving grace from my husband, and also giving grace. So our relationship is a bit different than my parents. I call my mom and dad the right reverend and the good deaconess, because honey, they save, okay? Like they know Jesus by his first name. That kind of save, that real close to God kind of thing. And our relationship is a bit different. We love the Lord now. He heard our cry and pitied every groan. But we also are quite down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We like to hang out. We like to have a good time. It's just a little bit different. So me with my husband and him, what did you just say? He was like, I'm not the kind of person that's going to be shouting in church and speaking in tongues and falling out. I ain't that kind of dude. And I said, well, what made you think that I was looking for that? Just because I'm in church, working in church and that kind of thing. So it was giving and receiving grace. And then on another instance where in our premarital counseling, I don't know if you remember this, one of the things that we talked about was, of course, our income and our finances. And my thing was, listen, I've been on my grind for a minute. I don't have to tell you nothing. I don't have, because I made this money. So it was like, hold on, sis, like, wait a minute. So he had to give me grace on that, because I had to learn how to.
We had to come together. We had to learn how to come together.
Yes, and be a partnership, and then figure out what that partnership looked like for us.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the same for every couple.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that learning curve. So, and that's what I call it, that learning curve. My wife calls it living in the ghetto or whatever. But it's just basically the learning curve, and that was one of the things we had to work through, how we both do things and things of that nature. So once we got through that, we were fine.
Yeah. Now you talked a little bit about finances, and I'm interested to know for Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, when you first started dating, like when you were in that 6 years of courtship and then you got married, how did your conversations around finances change? Because I know, Dwight, you mentioned, you came from a household where your father was the main provider, was working to take care of things. How did things change from courtship to marriage when it came to conversations around money?
So I was the one with bad credit.
So you brought the debt.
I brought the debt. And I was the one in the malls. I was the one. I mean, I love retail therapy. I love shopping. I love everything about fashion. If I wasn't doing radio, I would be doing something in fashion. I know I would. And my husband is very disciplined. He came with no credit issues. No, he we paying these bills on time. And so that initially was our Achilles heel, and still, navigating to
big learning curve,
and making sure that, again, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant mind. And so I trust his decisions and things for the house. So if it caused me to sacrifice and learn how to budget and manage things differently for the sake of the greater good, he had to crack that whip. Like, he had to really he had to hold me in. Not a literal, but he had to hold me in so that we can be able to put our kids in private school and do the things that we really wanted to do for our family, for the greater good of the family. And even now, as we're older, preparing for retirement and doing things so we can live the life that we really love to live. Like, we like to have fun. We like leisure. We like vacations. We like those things. And I had to learn that discipline. So the financial piece, I'm the culprit.
Now we're going to keep it back to LaDon Black, because I want to know, is what they say true? Is money and finances the root cause of the demise of a lot of relationships? And how does that statistic, how does that play into Black love? Because we know, like, our community is totally different than, I like to call them, the others. I
like that.
You know what? Finance is the chief reason why a lot of relationships end. I mean, marriages end, dating ends, living together, all of that ends because money plays a role. And really, once again, I hate to say it, it's based on how you were trained to handle money growing up. And then when you add on to that a lot of Black women are killing it financially right now. We have high levels of education. We have all the side hustles. We have financial resources. So a lot of times if people are getting together in their 30s and their 40s now looking at marriage, she's already owned a home. She already has the car of her dreams. She already has retirement. So a traditional marriage, what does that look like now when a woman is coming to a relationship with her own things? So I love what the Rollins said when they said that they had to define what their marriage was going to be for themselves, because that's, when it comes to money, a lot of times that's what you have to do. And then I also love what the Jackson said, that, they kind of fill in where the person is weak. If you don't have it, I have it. If you have it, I have it. Those types of things. Finance has to be communicated. It has to be honest. You have to be clear about what you're able to do and what you aren't able to do. And then most importantly, in this day and age, be able to sort of shuffle the traditional marriage roles in a way that works for you.
Yeah. I love this discussion because I feel like all we see on social media is 50-50 and man gotta pay all the bills. And
that's not in real life, guys.
No, not real.
So I love this, especially talking to, couples who are actually, married and who have been doing this, really, being honest about what that dynamic is, because I feel like most married couples that, I talk to or that I've, had the pleasure, the opportunity to be friends with and close with, talk about the fact that, it's not a 50-50 thing. Like, it's never given, this is my cap off for 50%, whether it comes to finances or it comes to, household things, whether it comes to, being that person that's initiating, the date, the romantic nights, that it, you just try to, it just got to get done. So whoever can do it at that time is going to be the person who, does it. So I appreciate, all of you all's honesty about that.
Now, Chey? I was
about to say, please let this man talk because he has been dying to throw me under a bus. I'm not.
I think it's really really important to play on each other's strengths and weaknesses. In our marriage, like you said, every marriage is different, and there's no right or wrong way to navigate your marriage. What works for you works for you. What works for the Silvas might not work for other couples. But in our marriage, I knew I was the one financially, not just more stable. I was better with finances, And I knew that Ashely was better with everything else. Like,
Ashely was better with everything else.
Like, when it comes to making sure that, the date nights happen, when it comes to making sure that the house is taken care of, when it makes sure that the kids, and not just that, what I love most about it is that she continuously pushes me. And she makes sure that we never get comfortable. Because I think in a lot of times in relationships, not just financially, when you're together 15, 20 years, 20 plus years, that comfort level comes, and then comfortable turns into things going in the wrong direction. Right. So Ashely has always been, there saying, baby, what more can we do? What more can we do together? Cheryl talked about partnership. That's a word that we use a lot in our relationship, just making sure that we are supporting each other, not just financially. But I think, just to, kind of wrap up the conversation, playing on each other's strengths and weaknesses is very important in a relationship. If you know that you're not strong at finance, don't worry about managing the finances, because then that's when the arguments come in.
Yeah, that is something that we have very early on. A quick note, I don't like to talk about money. I get anxious talking about money. I don't want to know what's in your bank account. You don't need to know what's in mine. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm not saying that within a marriage. I'm just saying in general, because I feel like a lot of people, especially these days when it's social media, they're very flashy about money and all of these things. I'm not that person. So I have a little anxiety around talking about money. Quick is much better with it, much better figuring that kind of stuff out. Great. However, Quick, my love, is someone who just did not realize how much the cost of toilet paper is, or so a lot of times people feel like, and especially in the beginning, like I was overspending, and I'm like, babe, I can't spend $100 at the grocery store for a family of 4. What do you think we're gonna eat? I'm like,
$2. That's all we spend this week.
So very early in our relationship, I think it was a lot of learning that I am someone who likes to spend money, so I know how much things cost. Quick is someone who likes to save money. Quick is right. He sees every penny as it goes in and out. I'm like, babe, eggs are $20.
I'm like, $20.
Literally.
Right.
You ate 3 cans of Brussels sprouts. That doesn't
right. So with which one of us is good at what it is, and which one of us is not. He does not do the shopping and marketing for the house or budgeting for that, because, honey, we will be in here with the poverty. One egg.
Why can't we share that 1 egg? No joke.
No, I love it. And I know we only have a couple of minutes here, but I want each of the couples really, really quickly just to say one thing that you truly appreciate and love about your partner that you would not trade for the world. I'm gonna let you guys think on that just a little bit. And for LaDon, my next question for you is, what is your advice to, couples who may be, going through a hard time right now, whether they're in marriage or they're dating, and they want to be married, they want to continue to be married? What is one thing that you would tell them that the rest of the world is not telling them?
The one thing I'll tell that couple that's trying to decide is this situation that they want to keep going forward with is, number one, communicate. I think a lot of times we're scared to reveal our true selves to our partners, your fantasies, your ideas, your desires, really what your plans are for the future. Communicate. Don't be afraid to talk. I think that is the most important thing.
Yeah. All right. Now we'll bounce it back to the Jacksons. Mr. Dwight, what is one thing that you love and appreciate about Cheryl that you would not change for the world?
For me, it would be that she's always intentional about making sure that we spend time together. Whether it's, going out on a date night or just going to a movie, or, just making sure that we have time, because, most of you guys are very, very busy with your schedules. But she always makes time for us to do something together and keep that connection of going out and doing different things.
Nice. And Cheryl, what about you?
I would say he makes me priority. Like, I love that. Out of his world, I am number one, besides the Lord, of course. That he prioritizes me first, and that he supports 100% what I do. Nothing, I mean, any career opportunities, anything. I don't think I would be able to do radio or entertainment or media if I didn't have his support. Like, he's supported me 100%. As long as it didn't compromise our family, he was, he's 100% on board, and I love how he, supports that. But more so than anything, I love him because he makes me priority. Like, I feel like I'm his number one.
I know that's right. She said it's only one queen in this castle, baby. Now for the Silvas, Ashely, what's the one thing that you love about Quick that you would not change for the world?
How much time do we got on this, baby? Because it's gonna take a while.
But no, I think I say often, and everyone knows that Quick is a hard worker. That goes without saying. But beyond being a hard worker, he's just an amazing provider. But outside of just myself, what I love the most about Quick, I love him as a father, like as a dad. I wasn't someone who grew up with my father, and the relationship that he has with our children, it's individualized with our son and then with our daughter. But I specifically like seeing the relationship that he has with our daughter. The way he treats her like a princess, it just warms my heart.
She's not like a princess, she's just the princess. Keep going.
She is
Don't worry about his princess, okay?
She is the princess. But how he treats her is a reflection of how he treats me and how he sees me. And that's just my favorite thing.
No,
Yes.
No, get on my face.
Oh,
this is real marriage here, y'all know that. What I love most about my wife, it's a lot. I think the first thing is, like you say, she really has taught me how to love. And her support is something that I didn't even know exists. Like, she really supports me. She really supports our family, and she really supports and makes sure that she pushes us as a marriage, but as a business, because marriage, the Silvas have become a brand in the business, and she makes sure that we prioritize making sure that we're growing each other. I think the number one thing outside of love and support is probably her thoughtfulness. I've talked about this a million times, so if somebody's watching this, they'd be like, I know what he great say. She's the most thoughtful person I've ever met in my life. She knows how to make you, when I say you, I'm talking about myself, the kids, her friends, the family. She knows how to make you feel important. And it's not about just buying gifts or, all the love languages. Like, she does things that I never would have thought of. I'm the type of person that, and I tell her all the time, tell me exactly what you want, and the answer is always yes. She's the opposite. I never have to tell her what I want. And if I thought I wanted something, she's going to get something that I didn't think about. And the example I always use is that when we got married in Jamaica, and a lot of people know my story. I lost my parents at a very young age. So I lost my mom at 10 and my dad at 18, and she know what my mom and dad meant to me, as a child. And at our rehearsal dinner, she gives me a box, and I'm looking at the box, and I open the box up, and there's some cufflinks. So as the man, you like, yeah, thanks, babe. I really didn't want cufflinks, but thank you. All right. The fake smile, and she like, open them. And I'm thinking, like, I'm not even a suit and tie guy every day. But then I open the cufflinks, and there's a picture of my mom in one link and a picture of my dad. Wow. Like, you miss your mom and dad, and I know you wish they were here with us. So I want, when you hug me, your mom and dad's with us. And that's the type of stuff she does all the time. This is one example. I can tell you a million other examples.
I am really great.
Like, she does stuff like that. Her job is to make me cry. I'm like, baby, I ain't planning on crying today. Thanks.
Quick is so like nonchalant on the exterior. I love to when I like gift him something, it's something that I know is like going to tug at the heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
I love that. I love that.
That's what I love about that.
Now for the Rollins, Ronnette, what is one thing that you love about Mr. Rollins that you would not change for the world?
I mean, besides all that, okay. I honestly love how I can truly be myself with him, my goofy self, my vulnerable self, my perimenopausal self. Okay, crazy. All the versions. he allows me to be that and still loves me. I mean, when I'm away from him, I can move heaven and earth. I can do all the things, you know, be the alpha female and all that stuff. And then when I'm with him, I'm completely helpless. I can't do anything. So
Okay. I can't even order my own food.
Right. So I appreciate that about him, that, you know, he just allows me to be me, whoever that is in the moment.
Mr. Rollins, what about you? What do you love about Ronnette that you would not change for the world?
You know what I love? I love my wife's humor. You know, we joke all the time. My wife is the type that she will go in on me. And I don't mind it because I'll go back at her. But the fact that she is funny, you know, it makes the times go faster. Sometimes, you know, a little bit lighter. So like if there's something going on, and she knows how to kind of uplift me with her personality. I love it. I love it.
Thanks, babe.
You are welcome. You said,
oh, look at that.
Jokes. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. I'm not going to hold you all for too much longer. I know we could talk about the Black love thing all night. We may be here until Sunday, okay? But we appreciate your stories. We appreciate your experience. And thank you for just pouring into those who are watching right now, who, you know, want love and maybe haven't found it yet, or are in a partnership that they may not be sure about or know if it's completely for them. And thank you, LaDon, as well, for all of your expertise and also your gentleness. I know the couples that you work with are very thankful for that, because we need gentleness in Black love. So thank you all so much. Have a very happy Valentine's Day, and cheers to many, many more years of Black marriage to come to all of you.
This is Michael Rollins again, owner of Gameday Men's Health Waldorf. Fellas, if you experience any of these 4 symptoms, brain fog, low libido, fatigue, and poor sleep quality, come get your free testosterone test here at Gameday Men's Health Waldorf today.